On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Los Alamos, I would like to welcome you to this candidate forum. My name is Felicia Orth. I'm currently the president of the local league. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. Our mission is to enable voters to make educated decisions on election day. We welcome new members, both men and women. Membership forms are available on the table, along with some copies of the brand new voter guide, which you should have found in your paper last Thursday. The county clerk also has a table back there, which includes things like the sample ballot, which is very helpful. Please take this moment to silence your cell phones or set them on stun, if you would please. They're disruptive if they ring. We are pleased to welcome 3 volunteer assistants from the high school debate club, the Hill Talkers. This is Bella Blair, Eva Gerber, and Emily Shu. We are also pleased to say that PAC 8 is recording the forum in its entirety, and the video will be available on YouTube afterwards. We may also have some live streaming going on, yes, by the Los Alamos Daily Post. This is Kristen, and thank you very much for that during the event. So we ask you to refrain from other recording. There's a lot of recording going on already. So here's our format for this evening. Los Alamos County Clerk Naomi Maestas will tell us about the voting procedures for the general election. You might find me at 8 o'clock in the morning, knocking on the door tomorrow. But then Kristen Henderson, chair of the UNMLA, this is Building 2, Advisory Committee, will explain the UNMLA General Obligation Bonds question. Christine Chandler, the unopposed candidate for New Mexico House District 43, will speak next. And then Michael Redondo, the unopposed candidate for Los Alamos County Clerk. Each is asked to keep their comments to 3 minutes or less so that they have time to answer a couple of questions. Then we will meet the 5 candidates for Los Alamos County Council and hear from them through opening statements, question and answers, and closing statements. We will finish by 9 p.m. So, Naomi, there you are. If you would join us, please.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Am I loud enough? Okay. I'll use my soccer voice for the night. Welcome, candidates and guests. For those of you that do not know me, I have the honor of being your county clerk for the next 2 months, 23 days, 4 hours, 52 minutes, and 5 seconds. But who's counting, right? So I'm here tonight just to share some quick election information. I'm going to start off with voter registration, which ends tomorrow. So that's just our standard voter registration. You have until 5 p.m. to go into our office, or anybody that you know can go into our office until 5 p.m. and register to vote in person. They can also go to nmvote.org, and that site will close at 11:59. Due to some really great legislation that was passed by our wonderful legislators, we now offer same-day voter registration. That's a great avenue also. You need a little bit more information in order to do same-day voter registration, so just go onto our site and you can get that information as to what is needed. Absentee by mail will also start tomorrow. So we will start mailing out. We have over 1,000 absentee by mail ballots to mail out. So that we're going to be diligently working on that. The last day to request an absentee ballot is Thursday, October 22nd. So that date has changed in the last couple of elections. So it's a little bit further from the election to make sure we get the ballot out to you and the ballot comes back to us by 7 p.m. on election night. Early voting at the Los Alamos County Municipal Building starts tomorrow as well. Tomorrow is a busy day. That's going to be from 8 to 5, and then that'll resume. That goes up until Friday, and then it resumes the following Monday through the following Friday. Additional early voting is October 19th through November 2nd. That's Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's going to be at the Los Alamos Municipal Building or the White Rock Town Hall. Please keep in mind that we are closed on Sundays. There's no voting on Sundays, and Indigenous People Day, we're also closed as well. Election day voting hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Your vote centers are the Los Alamos Municipal Building, White Rock Town Hall, Golf Course Community Building, Betty E. Hart Senior Center, and the University of New Mexico. So right in here, you're going to be voting in there if you choose to do this site. For anybody that needs information, nmvote.org. That's a great, I'm going to give that a plug for them. That's our state's site. You can get all your election-related information there. Another great way to get election information, and I don't know if a lot of you are aware of this, but Los Alamos has an app. Our county has an app. It's Los Alamos Now. Where the top icon on there, you can get all your election-related information there as well. If you know of any overseas or military voters, please have them visit the UOCAVA site or FVAP site, FVAP. They can vote through that avenue. The last thing I want to mention is we have some great swag back in the back from our sticker competition that was for our school-age children that they participated in that, and you can get them on when you go to vote as well. And we have great magnets, a lot of election-related information. That wraps up about everything I had to say, other than a huge thank you to the League of Women Voters. I was here 8 years ago in that room, and it was a very emotional day for me. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember. My youngest son was playing his last football game. I was not able to attend because I wanted to get up here and speak and put in my hat for county clerk. And through this whole ordeal, I found strength in my voice. I found the person that I am, and I know I can do about anything. So thank you.
Other questions of our remarkable county clerk?
I'd like to say thank you for the 8 years you've been on
The league has really enjoyed working with Naomi.
And we want to say thank you so much for being among the best enablers of democracy in Los Alamos. The league says thank you, and on behalf of every citizen, thank you.
Usually Naomi is the only one who has swag. We have a little bit of swag this year ourselves. We were feeling swaggy. So we have the magnets that say Vote 411, which if you are not holding a voter guide is your best source of information for the information in the voter guide. We also have buttons, stole this from England, Keep Calm and Vote, and we have some stemless, what do you call them, water glasses. All right, let's see, we hear next from Kristen Henderson on the bonds.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
No.
Okay, is that better? Okay, great, thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us here, and thank you to everyone who's come. I really appreciate it. So I am here to talk about something that sounds boring, and it is not. It is fascinating and very important. So I'm here to talk to you about the UNMLA bond. So my name is Kristen Henderson. I am the current chair of the Friends of the Advisory Board, the Advisory Board for UNMLA. And that is an elected position, and I am honored to have been elected to that position because I think this institution is so incredibly important in this town. So I have three things to talk about with the bond. The first is, what is it? Why is it important? And how is it going to affect you? So again, the bond is going to be on this ballot. There's going to be 2 bonds on this ballot. One is the GO bond, and this year it's called Bond 3. That is not the UNMLA bond. That is an important bond also. That is about capital projects. That is how the state of New Mexico pays for capital improvements to our colleges and universities. I encourage you to vote yes. It does not change your taxes. It's a continuation of an ongoing bond. I mention it so people don't get confused with the other bond, which is the UNMLA bond, and that bond is specifically for this campus. So that's going to raise your taxes a teeny tiny nominal amount, and we're going to talk about that, but I will just say that right up front. So the reason it is important is that it's the only way for UNMLA to get funding to improve the capital projects. So we have a lot of projects that need to get done, and if we can get it passed, then the state will match us 3 to 1. So this is a $3 million bond, but we would get another $9 million. So the campus would have $12 million over time to do improvements. So the way it's going to affect your taxes, if it does vote yes for your appraised value, if you have a real property of about $400,000, it's going to be about $5.50 a month. So I highly encourage you to vote yes. This bond, the campus had that kind of a bond in place in the past, and in the 90s there was some paperwork that I don't understand that it didn't get continued. So we're trying to get it reestablished so we can do some of the work that needs to be done here on the campus. There is an FAQ in the back, and I encourage you to take one if you are curious about learning more about it. And some of the things that we can get done. We need to bring a lot of the campus up to speed with the American with Disabilities Act. We have leaking roofs. We have the 1940s elementary school buildings that we really need to revise them for higher education needs. We need to upgrade IT systems. And there's a wide range of things that we need to get done. We have put together an initial plan for how to revamp the exterior of the school to make it more welcoming to the rest of the community, and that it's going to look a lot better for the students who attend here, and it's safer and those kinds of things. So that's one of the earlier projects that might get done if that gets passed. I do want to talk about some of the great things about UNMLA, and I suspect almost everybody here has had some connection with the school, but obviously it offers certificate programs, it offers associate degree programs, it has the dual credit high school programs, customized training for local businesses, adult education, continuing ed. You can get a bachelor's degree in a couple of certain area disciplines, and that is the case across the state, that there's a nominal way you can do that through associate schools. So there's a lot that the community gets out of it, and we can't move forward without improving our capital buildings, and I personally think it's super important, and I encourage everybody to vote yes on both of the bonds. Any questions or comments? Let me add one more thing. You can take a UNMLA vote yes bond sign for free. And we really would love it if you do, and if you just, afterwards we'll use it again in 2 years, so let us know where it goes, we'll come get it. Okay, sorry, there was a question, yes.
So Kirsten, I was listening, but I'm not sure if you mentioned that there is a state match to this as well.
Yeah, that's
$9
the,
million, right?
yes, thank you, that is the hugest thing. So there's a state match, there's more than a state match, they do 3 to 1. So if we do $3 million, we'll get $12 million. And probably the key part to that is if we don't do the $3 million, we get nothing. Right, so that is the only way. And one of the things most people don't know, I certainly didn't know, is that the local schools of UNM have to be paid for locally. So we do not, this school does not get funding from UNM, from their budget. It gets some funding from the state, but it's mostly from the local community. So I don't know all of the history of when somebody here said, you know what, we could really use a campus here. This is an educational town. Let's do something. And they worked hard to get this campus here, but locally we need to support it. So the only way thank you for that match question. That's it. We will get more than a match. We get nothing if we don't do this. If we don't show the state this community supports it, then we don't get the money to do the capital improvements. Other questions? Yes.
Okay. I wanted to remind people that all of the schools, elementary, high school, middle school, that has been redone, not all of them, but most of them, that's because we are now on into capacity. And that's why Milwaukee and all these other districts got new schools, and we have these not new schools. So if we aren't willing to pay, then the state is going to give us money. So that's why it's important. And that's why we've got a big jump on property taxes, probably 15, 20 years ago. And that's how we were able to build other schools. And remind you, this is the same school as all those other ones. So when their roofs leak, so does this one. Just telling you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Other questions? No? Thank you very much. Thank you all. Representative Chandler.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you to talk a little bit about what I'll be working on in the course of the next couple of years. I have been your state representative now for 3 terms. I'm entering my 4th term starting this January. I am the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, and I also serve on the Tax Committee. Those have been my assignments since I began in the legislature. They're very important, influential committees, and I'm pleased to be able to work on them. I think it's a place for me to be able to support this community in the state. This past summer, I have been the chair of the Courts, Corrections, and Justice Committee. That work started very early this year because the governor had a crime agenda that she wanted us to consider. So instead of starting in July, which is when we normally begin our committee process, we started in May. So the first 3 months of my chairmanship was focused on criminal commitment and a few other bills that the governor was interested in. The legislature, as you know, did not deem them sufficiently tied to addressing crime in the state to warrant passage. And as a result, we're continuing to work on them. But we had a disagreement with the governor as to what should be the priorities during the session, and criminal commitment was not high on the list. Moving forward, I plan on working on a number of bills that I have done in the past, and we're getting closer and closer, thank you, to passing them. Paid family and medical leave has been one of my bills since I was in the legislature. I've been a co-sponsor on that bill with Senator Mimi Stewart, excuse me, for about 4 years now. And we lost the last vote in the House by 2 votes. It passed the Senate, it passed all the committees in the Senate, it passed the committees in the House, and we were 2 votes short. We're hoping this year that we will be able to pass the bill. There's a different House and there's a different Senate. And about 4 of the people who voted against the bill in the House are no longer going to be in the House moving forward. Criminal competency is something that I am interested in working on, and I do plan on continuing to work with the governor and the Republicans on this bill. It wasn't ready, I felt, and many of us felt, but we will be digging in and trying to support that initiative going forward. Another bill that I am working on is the Extreme Order of Protection bill. We're going to try to make it more more useful to law enforcement. I think that's the way to be thinking about it. And lastly, I'm working on an IT anti-discrimination bill, which will impose requirements on the developers and what we're calling deployers of IT when that mechanism is used in what we call consequential decision making. Employment. AI is being used to screen you out, folks. AI is being used to screen you out of housing opportunities, lending opportunities, and we want to make sure that is that discrimination is not embedded in the algorithms that's being used and then perpetuating poor decision-making. So I think my 3 minutes is just about up, so I don't want to go any further, is it? No, okay, you're not timing me? If you're not timing me, it's infinite. It's infinite. That's a scary thing to tell someone. Well, let me just, quick things. The legislature is looking at the Landlord-Tenant Act, the Mobile Home Park Act, and we're also looking at the anti-donation clause. There's a group of us that have been talking about those issues. We know that they need some work, and we're working on trying to improve those various statutes. So those things are moving forward as well. And with that, I'm happy to entertain questions.
Is this on? Can you hear me? Yeah, so my question is, the new report about healthcare that came out, Think New Mexico, and all the points and the recommendations that they made to make healthcare more affordable, more accessible, less expensive, get more providers, get more people to Medicaid, etc. Are you guys in the legislature working on any bills related to their recommendations?
Well, the recommendations came out like 2 weeks ago. So many of those ideas are ideas that actually originated with the legislature and will probably be expanding upon. And I'm certain that we'll be looking at some of those recommendations. We always we value good ideas, we look into them, but we also validate the merit of them on our own, and we'll be doing that this go around. I recommend, though, that you look at the table back in the back. I have a 4-page document that describes a lot of the work that the legislature has done on healthcare to date, including huge investments of monies in the hospitals, the patient compensation fund, changing our GRT tax laws to accommodate certain things. So it's a lengthy list. And so I really would recommend that you take a look at it. A lot has been done in the last 4 or 5 years to support medicine in the state, and I think people have lost sight of that.
Will you explain the fourth constitutional amendment?
So is that the one about county salaries?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Under current law now, the legislature sets a cap on what county salaries can be, okay? So this constitutional amendment removes the legislature's role in that and gives the county elected officials the ability to determine salaries for elected officials. And the view about that was, county officials are elected, and those folks are accountable to their citizens so that they can make those decisions on their own, with accountability being with their own electorate. So that's what that's all about. I would point out, cities do not have a similar, kind of oversight, if you want to call it that, mechanism. Cities can change their elected office salaries and so on at will without any role of the legislature being involved. So it puts them on a par with cities, really.
I want to think back to session in January. House Bill 298, service members' suicide prevention. Why were you the only no vote in the entire legislature?
Thank you for bringing that up, because I made a mistake, Pat. That's why.
Okay.
I was out in the hallway, and there was a discussion about a bill, and then they switched bills, and they say the vote is up, and I thought it was a different vote we were bringing up, but I'm really glad you brought that up.
So they were yelling, vote, vote, and you didn't get there in time?
Exactly. So what I did was I went and then apologized to the sponsor on that bill, because that was obviously an incorrect vote.
Did he accept your apology?
Actually, yes, and he hugged me and said, he really appreciates people who are willing to admit when they've made a mistake.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michael Redondo. I'm the candidate for Los Alamos County.
Hello, good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for giving me this opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Michael Redondo. I grew up here in Los Alamos. As many of you probably know, I served as your probate judge for a little over 4.5 years. The probate position is co-located with the county clerks. The county clerk is the de facto clerk of the probate court. So I, in those 4.5 years, was fortunate to work with the clerk and the staff in the clerk's office. I was convinced to step down from that position so that I could run for county clerk. The Judicial Ethics Code prohibits a sitting judge from running for a non-judicial position. So that's why I stepped down at that time to run for clerk. I have been incredibly fortunate due to being unopposed, I had the opportunity to take a casual position in the clerk's office. So I have been working as a deputy clerk in the clerk's office since May, and have been learning a lot about what the clerks do from our wonderful outgoing clerk and the staff there. So I'd also like to give a big thank you to the clerk and the staff at the clerk's office. Who've been incredibly helpful in my on-the-job training, getting ready for this position. That being said, I will open myself to questions.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Alrighty, let's turn now to the Los Alamos County Council, which consists of 7 members elected at large for staggered 4-year terms. We have 5 candidates and 3 open seats in 2024, which will be filled by the 3 candidates receiving the most votes. In ballot order, the candidates are Beverly Neal Clinton, David Rieger, Rin Herman, Denise Durkas, and James Wernicke. I believe all are here tonight. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. When they are finished, we will take questions. The question must be directed to all candidates. I'll switch up the order in which we ask for answers. Following question and answer, each candidate will have another minute for a closing statement. Again, the Hill Talkers are our timekeepers. Please hold your applause until we are completely done, and then we will clap at everyone at once. And please show your respect for the process. So, if the 5 candidates would come up, there we go. If there's a particular place you want to sit, you can move your placard. Says Board Member Lisa Hampton. All right, again, our protocol is opening statements in ballot order, and then I begin shifting over one name as we begin the questions. And then closing statements are reverse ballot order. So let's begin with Ms. Neal Clinton. Ms. Neal Clinton. And the microphones should all be on.
am I here?
You're right there.
So I can see?
Yes.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for having this forum, and I'd like to say hello to all the panelists. Thank you all for coming out, because I'm sure that there are other places that you could be, and instead you choose to be here with us. My name is Beverly Neal Clinton. I have lived here for over 24 years. We've raised our sons in this community. I am a Marine, a mother, a sister, an aunt, and now a Gigi. And that is by far the most important thing of all. It is my honor to be here, be able to answer any questions that you may have of us. I am choosing to run because I believe that the time is critical. I believe that if we believe in democracy and for what it stands for, this is now a pivotal moment to do that. I believe we are putting our best foot forward. I believe that we can do better. It is my intent to be that person. I have 4 pillars upon which I stand. They are small business, they are inclusivity, mental health, and the obvious affordable housing. I believe that in the 24 years that we've been here, I have seen this town change and grow, and it's like nowhere else we've ever lived. I'm incredibly fortunate to live here. My husband has a beautiful mind, which is how I ended up here. And it is my intent to bring my past experiences from being a court reporter to a Marine to always the entrepreneur and to someone who provides information once I've actually done my own research. So one of the things I want you to remember about me is as you see me now, that's how you see me 4 years from now. I can't be anything else but that. And if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, but I'm willing to go and research and find it out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Rieger?
Thank you. Hello, I'm David Rieger, and I'm running for re-election to the Los Alamos County Council. In my last term, I pushed back against all types of government overreach. I was the only councilor to vote in favor of the uncorked Surfy appeal of the red tag of the bar and restaurant project on Central Avenue. He has since, he was lost that appeal because I was the only councilor supporting him. But then after that, he has gone to district court and he's won. And the court found that the county had both treated him unfairly in terms of due process civil rights, but also in terms of it was an arbitrary and capricious ruling. The other councilors didn't feel any need to oppose that kind of excess county authoritarianism, which is one of the reasons why it's a very difficult small business environment in this town. I was the only councilor to oppose the coronavirus lockdowns and shop mandates from the governor and Lamel. We had a non-binding resolution in opposition, but again, I was the only one to support it. In opposition to the GRT tax increase, that was defeated 4-3. We were flooded with Lamel money. We don't need any tax increases. The opposition, I opposed the Real Deal purchase by the county. That was voted down also 4-3, so I said my vote was important. And then it had closed during COVID, but now it's reopened as a movie theater. I also supported, didn't get a chance to vote for it, but supported Alita funds for Sala because it's a very important thing in our community and it can add a lot to tourism in our town. But our county has a very hard time moving any kind of economic development funding through the departments. I supported the rollback of the nuisance code. That needs additional work, but we achieved some of the rollback. And also I opposed the minimum wage increase, or at least the whole minimum wage law, because that whole thing needs more. Our real problem is low-income housing. I opposed the road diets, which is just a brand new issue. So I say we need a fat trinity for small businesses. We need to make it easy to get from the lab to the building, to the small businesses during lunch hour, and get back. That is very important to our small business community. And then we use Central Avenue and Canyon for all of the bike and pedestrian traffic and make it very friendly with crossings and everything else. I oppose the solar reimbursement bait and switch, which if any of you know, the solar people got a lot less money now. And I think that you shouldn't have done that after they invested tens of thousands of dollars. And also I oppose all of the natural gas bans. And then, you know, the EU calls methane green energy because it's mostly hydrogen. And they don't even count it as something to ban when you go to net zero. They count it as a small carbon load. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Herman?
I'm Lynn Herman. My husband and I have lived in Los Alamos for 27 years, and we raised our 3 children here. I was a stay-at-home mom for 17 years, but I didn't stay home much. I volunteered with the schools and with many organizations that our family was involved with. Since then, I worked for Los Alamos Commerce and Development Corporation for the past 10 years, and recently retired from being the Los Alamos Chamber of Commerce Director, helping our small business community. I would like to continue to serve Los Alamos as a county councilor. I bring a different perspective. My experience engaging with our small business community, our entrepreneurs, and the people of Los Alamos make me uniquely qualified to understand the challenges our small businesses face. But my 27 years as a Los Alamos resident make me want to improve our community and make it a better place to live for all residents. I love our town, but there is room for improvement. Downtown revitalization and keeping retail and restaurants in our town matters. It's not an easy place to run a business. I know it was my job to help them. Fostering trust between the business owners and citizens and the county government would also go a long way. Increasing housing and affordable housing are critical right now for our county. We need to house not just new landlord employees, but our teachers, our firefighters, police officers, and workers in our small businesses. I'm also passionate about sustainability, and I believe that Los Alamos County should be a leader in New Mexico, and I will support the work our county is doing to move us forwards. My other priorities are quality of life in Los Alamos. There are many topics to focus on: the well-being of our children, inclusivity of all residents, protecting our open spaces and recreation, and the mobility and public safety of our residents. I believe the role of a county councilor is to engage with the residents and businesses of Los Alamos, to listen and then represent them when making educated decisions to make Los Alamos a stronger community and a better place to live. I thank all of the candidates for caring about our community enough to run for public office. I appreciate that we have people here that want to make a difference. I thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and to the Los Alamos High School Hilltoppers for assisting, and I thank UNMLA for hosting us this evening. I also thank all of you for coming out tonight. Early voting starts tomorrow, and I hope you will vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Durkis.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum and those attending this evening. My name is Denise Durkis. I'm running for re-election to County Council because I want to continue to help Los Alamos County plan for growth and embrace the future while preserving the past and the amenities that make the county a great place to live. I was born and raised in New Jersey and have lived in 10 states, but together with my husband, I chose to live here, to raise our 3 sons here, and to stay here in retirement. I'm a 42-year resident of the county and a retiree from the laboratory after 20 years of employment. I hope to continue to apply my personal experience raising a family in the county and my professional experience as a chief of staff to senior management at the laboratory to serving on the council. I'm serving in my 2nd year as council chair and my 4th year on council. During my service on council, I gained a full understanding of council procedures and authorities and in-depth knowledge of county operations and challenges. I've learned the complexities of the county budget and recognized the importance of fiscal responsibility. I've worked strategically with my fellow councilors to establish priorities and develop tools to track county performance. I'm conscious of my role as a public servant, and I am accountable to my constituents for my decisions. I recognize 3 overarching issues facing the county: expanded housing development, proactive downtown revitalization, and enhanced community services. The county has identified the need for some 2,000 additional housing units, particularly low and middle income housing, for rent and for ownership. Multiple housing projects are currently in various stages of planning and development. I support streamlining county codes and permitting processes and ongoing county efforts to explore all housing options and all possible building sites to meet community needs. Downtown revitalization in Los Alamos and White Rock is essential for a thriving community. I support policies and processes that facilitate small business development and sustainability to expand employment, shopping, and social amenities necessary for a growing population and a well-rounded community. Inclusive and accessible community services contribute to the quality of life that county residents value and want to preserve as the county grows. I support enhanced maintenance and upgrades to utilities, broadband, roads, public transportation, parks and recreation facilities, and trails and open spaces. These are the priorities that I've identified. I welcome input from you, the residents of the county, on how to best address these priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wernicke.
All right, thank you. Especially thank you to everyone being here and being engaged. Just to give you a quick background on me. Grew up in Albuquerque, went to college at New Mexico Tech, and ended up here in 2013 to take a job in cybersecurity. I came with my wife, my newborn daughter, my 3-year-old son at the time. We came here because I wanted to work somewhere that had a ski hill 15 minutes away from my work, so I could go on my lunch break. And my wife really loved the aquatic center here. So those were the things that attracted us here. I was just kind of a normal citizen until 2017 when my wife's kidneys just failed out of the blue. And that was the first time in my life where I felt helpless. And my neighbor came out and offered his kidney to my wife. And that is what showed me the power of community. And after that, that is when I wanted to serve this community, serve anybody that would give their kidney for their neighbor. That's what I wanted to do, is help people around here. That is the community that I want. So now when I see people needing help and I see the government not helping them, or worse, making it worse for them, making housing less affordable, making it harder for businesses. These are the hardworking people I see in our community that I am motivated to help. That's what I'm here for. And now in the last couple of years, I'm on the Parks and Rec board, I'm on the Personnel board. I'm on those boards because I'm passionate about our outdoor spaces. I'm a big mountain biker, and I already talked about skiing and snowboarding. And I see people not getting listened to. So that is why I'm running, to listen to you and advocate for all of you. So I will fight relentlessly. I have no problem standing up to the county. I am here for you. As far as sort of my policies and strategies, definitely on the affordable housing front is making it possible, expanding options on affordable housing. So that's things like upzoning, streamlining the permitting processes. That is a mixed bag. Some people say the permits work fine. Other people have horror stories. reducing fees on anything that's targeting affordable housing. Same on the business side. I also see the county competing with businesses. That makes it hard. It's already hard enough being a business here. We don't need the county competing. Another example is with community organizations, like the Aquatic Center, right? They have the pumpkin splash coming up. Well, a lot of community organizations use pumpkin fundraisers to help raise money for them. It's great that the county is trying to help, but I see them as hurting all these other organizations that need help. So that's what I'm about, is being sensitive to your needs and making sure that somebody is standing up for you.
Thank you. We'll turn now to questions. The lead board sometimes has a question itself, and then we'll turn to questions from the rest of you. Our question this evening, which will go to every candidate, beginning with Mr. Reeder. What action, if any, should the county council take to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Los Alamos County? Mr. Reeder. And again, I have a minute and a half.
Thank you. So there's two things I'm really advocating for in the town, and one is to maintain our natural gas supply, because it is a very modest contribution to greenhouse gases or carbon emissions. And the other thing is we have a great solar opportunity in this town that we should continue to expand and develop. So I've written several articles in the papers recently about how important that is. It adds both to reduces our carbon footprint, but it also adds to the self-sufficiency of the community. So I'm very supportive of it. And I dislike the new change in the new rule, which is going to discourage solar installations. But I think we should go back to a system that I've outlined in my article, which was a higher payment for people that bought systems under the old rules, something that's near what the payments were before, and then we maintain that payment until the wholesale price gets up to the payment level. And it's all explained in more longer form in the newspaper. And the other thing, we should remove the city cap, which is 6 megawatts, and we should remove the per house caps that are also very limiting, because we can essentially meet our full daytime demands for electricity with solar in our community, and then take care of the nighttime. The best thing is a natural gas turbine generation. And so you never go to full net zero, which I didn't support.
Thank you. Ms. Herman.
Thank you. This is an important issue. I certainly believe the scientists when they say that human-induced climate change is real, and I believe we have a duty to be a leader in this. Some might say that our small town, what our small town does won't make a difference. But we're a science-based community that should set an example for all of New Mexico and beyond. The county has a goal of being carbon neutral by 2040, so there are going to be changes. The Los Alamos Resiliency, Energy, and Sustainability Citizen Task Force recommendations were accepted by council, and most of these ideas are already being incorporated into our goals. The draft climate action plan got great feedback from our citizens and is currently being revised by the county staff and should be presented again to the council soon. Changes will not happen overnight. There will be outreach to the community, and we will have conversations and make the choices that are best for us. Some of these topics are basic. Keep developing our bike infrastructure. In my opinion, ban single-use plastics and styrofoam. Encourage residents to make changes themselves. Others are not so easy, and there are going to be conflicts. But we need to balance these issues and move forward. As we look ahead to our energy needs and alternate energy options, it's important to keep in mind that technology is changing at a rapid pace. Home and business energy use and conservation is changing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see. Ms. Durkis.
Some 97% of actively publishing climate scientists agree that human behavior is contributing to global warming and climate change. Who am I to question these scientific experts? Council has established environmental stewardship and sustainability as a goal and identified priorities for transitioning to electrification and carbon neutral energy with the goal of 2040. I supported the Council's short, medium, and long-term phased implementation of the Resiliency, Energy, and Sustainability Task Force related to natural gas, electricity, transportation, mobility, waste, consumption, natural resources, and community planning. I also acknowledge the findings of the county's greenhouse gas emissions inventory. I anticipate an adoption of a climate action plan sometime in the near future. Just for clarification, the solar power buyback plates were approved by the Board of Public Utilities, not the County Council. I'm time here. The county has contracted for large-scale solar energy in the Four Corners area through Foxtail Flats that will come online in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wernicke?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I will. What action, if any, should the county council take to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the county?
All right, so I think they should definitely be reducing carbon emissions, looking to electrify, but they shouldn't be leaving people out in the cold. Affordability and reliability are just as important. Right now, we're dealing with an issue at Elk Ridge. They are, people there are worried that they're not going to have heat this winter. Hopefully the county is accountable to the safety of their citizens and they can assure them that they're not going to get their heat cut off this winter. I think the county could support electrification upgrades. This could be in the form of tax rebates, even low interest loans to help people upgrade. I do think electrification is the path forward. Supporting that but not leaving people out that can't afford it. It's great if you can go out and buy a Tesla and go out and buy a mini split for your house, but a lot of people can't do that, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me ask now if anyone out here has Ms. Neapolitan. I need to be fired even earlier than this.
So, a few things. I agree with my colleagues in that 97% of climate scientists agree that human activities like burning fossil fuels contribute to global warming. When we look at Los Alamos aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions significantly through various measures, including energy efficiencies, transitioning to renewable energy sources like solar and wind, and reducing reliance on fossil fuels, a sustainable infrastructure, as well as community involvement, biodiversity, and ecosystem protections, efforts to protect natural ecosystems, promotes biodiversity, maintains healthy forests, and open spaces are integral to this plan.
Thank you very much. All right, so now I will look to those of you present here. Just remember the format: 1 minute for the question, 1.5 minutes for the answer. Please keep one eyeball on our timekeepers. Any questions over here? Yes.
Yes, I know that in affordable housing.
Hold it close.
Okay, sorry. I know affordable housing is very important, but my understanding is they want to put a 8-story affordable or housing project where Merrimack might be. And I can't see very well, but I can tell you this, that putting all those people in my neighborhood without upgrades to the infrastructure in that area will make it very difficult for me to talk about accessibility to get anywhere in this town. I do not say we should put housing there, but I should think we should consider maybe putting 4 stories instead of 8. This town does not have any of the biggest building, as far as I know, is the LA&B building, and I think that should be the maximum for height.
Thank you very much. We'll start with Ms. Herman.
Thank you for that important question. I want to just start and say, wouldn't it be great if your kids could afford to move back here and buy a house and live here? Or would it be great if your kids' teachers could afford to live here? You know, the question of affordable housing right now is huge for us. And in my opinion, we do need to focus on housing density downtown in our redevelopment. To be honest, I am not sure about the infrastructure upgrades. The downtown master plan did approve for up to 8 stories, 7 or 8 stories, depending on what you use to build with. So I think most people, though, realize there should be kind of a step-back plan where you don't have necessarily 8 stories going right up next to the sidewalk. So, you know, I think housing is just the biggest thing that we have to deal with, and we really do need to make some changes like the housing density downtown.
Thank you. Ms. Durkis?
Okay, thank you for that question. As Bryn mentioned, the county did approve both master plans and updated the development code. And the development code did specifically increase building heights in downtown Los Alamos to 86 feet and in downtown White Rock to 54 feet. And this is to increase housing availability, particularly in downtown. To go along with that, it also reduced parking requirements to stimulate development. Regarding your concerns for infrastructure, infrastructure upgrades would absolutely be required as part of any development downtown. Developments wouldn't be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission without those upgrades as part of it. We've heard from the community that they definitely don't want us to build housing in our open spaces. They want us to, they don't want, or they should say they want to preserve their neighborhoods. But the general consensus is to concentrate development downtown, build up public transportation. And I'm out of time, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wernick.
All right, so yeah, infrastructure is definitely a challenge, but you know, we have 12,000 people, give or take, commuting into town every day, and that's causing a pretty significant traffic safety problem. And they're already here for half the day, so they're already taxing our infrastructure. A good thing about modern development is that it uses way less resources, right? You can have solar panels on top, you can have water reclamation, you can have much more efficient building design. So in that sense, we're not using as much resources as you might think for infrastructure. Probably the big one is how you're going to get cars around. And unfortunately, we need to start making things more walkable, more bikeable. Downtown Los Alamos, downtown White Rock are great places to do this. Figuring out where we can have cars parked on the perimeter and then make those spaces walkable. Like I could see right by Ashley Pond, if we had Central closed off to vehicles, how great that could be, like around CB Fox, right? We have all that vacant blighted space. If that was like a walking mall, we could have businesses thriving in there. There's other business issues to deal with as well. But doing things like that and having people living right there, I can see that being great for the community. Same down in White Rock. But we need to do it, right? We've only had 500 housing units built in the last 8 years or so. We make these affordable housing plans. We have all these plans, but we don't have any results. So, I want to know why we don't have results, and that's one of the things I'd like to get to the bottom of.
Thank you. Ms. Neil Clinton. It's Ms. Neil Clinton and then you.
Okay. Okay, so there are pros and cons we all know that housing is short, but it's not just here in Los Alamos. So the pros are going to be diverse housing options. We can encourage high density, which addresses the missing middle class. We have to have affordability focus. We have to have targeted goals. Anyone who knows me knows that I'll tend to say, do you have a plan? If you have a plan, then work the plan. We don't have that. We have to have a better plan. The cons would be, we have limited land, implementation challenges, and resource constraints. We have a goal, we need to move towards it, but then how do we do that? That involves the community. So when I hear about the 8 stories or the 4 stories, we have to look at what are we willing to trade off in order to get the housing for the people that's affordable.
Thank you, Mr. Beaker.
Thank you. Well, first, as far as the lady who asked the question goes, nothing has happened in many years, right? Hilltop House has sat there for many years, got torn down, it's still sitting there. The lot is empty. We have Merrimack hasn't done anything, and downtown White Rock is even worse. So the real issue is that we have a county government that is not accomplishing anything in terms of development of these areas. And we have, the stuff sits there forever. We have capabilities, we have LEDA and MRA authorities, we have the ability to make substantial changes and put county money into these things. But the way it sits now, the status quo is never happening at all. So I personally think we need some new county staff who look at this as something that's going to move. And as long as we stay with the current status quo, the same kind of council and the same kind of people, then it's going to sit there forever, as it has for the last 12 years, or 20 years in the case of White Rock, nothing ever getting done. So we need to have more of a push, and the county, other councilors just don't challenge the staff to make something happen. And that's the problem we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the side of the room? Ma'am.
This is kind of a tangent question, also related to infrastructure. Here. We can here? How about this? Better? Okay. Can you find the phone? No? The transportation issue with the roads, with the crosswalks, with the accessibility. I just looked it up, it's called truncated domes are actually supposed to be installed in order to help our visually impaired friends find their way across the street. Those are installed differently all over the counties, so I'm wondering, are those correct? Are they accurate? As we push tourism, as we build these multi-level structures, as we need to increase our infrastructure, why are we improving road diets when we're bringing more vehicles into the county? It's just not common sense. So we need to definitely keep our roads wide so everybody can get where they need to go. And we need to also encourage walking, biking, where that's safe and appropriate. So how can we do that, Councilor?
Ms. Turkis.
Thank you for the question. So a road diet is a traffic calming measure that involves reducing the number of travel lanes to make space for turn lanes, bike lanes, and sidewalks. The goal is to slow traffic, reduce accidents, and make roads safer and more accessible for all users. Following a road safety audit in 2016, the county was awarded federal funding through the State Department of Transportation for safety improvements and accessibility in upgrades on Trinity Drive, which is a state-owned highway. The first portion of the road diet from Dyer to Oppenheimer opened in June 2020. Prior to this reconfiguration, from 2 lanes in both directions, a motorcyclist heading east on Trinity, who was stopped in the left lane to make a left turn, was struck from behind and killed. Crash data indicate the number of accidents on Trinity Drive has increased, and traffic studies indicate that drive times have minimally increased by about 30 seconds, except, of course, during road construction, when additional traffic is redirected to Trinity. The approved extension of the road diet from Oppenheimer to Connect is a hybrid diet with 2 eastbound lanes to facilitate a movement of traffic out of town. Note that during an emergency, the police could open the center turning lane, although ultimately all traffic has to merge to get down the Main Hill Road. Thank you.
Mr. Warnicki. Sorry you had to change here.
Yeah, so I guess talking about the road diet, so when I was talking earlier about the vision of having a central, walkable street, I think that Trinity could be perfectly fine as 2 lanes each way. I'm not necessarily a street expert, but I did ride my bike there. When it was 2 lanes, I could ride in 1 lane, and cars could go around me in the other lane. Now I'm in the super skinny bike lane, and cars are right next to my handlebars. I personally liked it the way it was. When you talk about getting traffic to go through those stoplights, if you have 2 lanes that can get through stoplights, it seems like they would get through faster. And if you want to ride your bike, ride it on Central. I don't understand this obsession with making Trinity walkable. But again, if we can do something about the number of commuters, that could help with the traffic. Building more housing up here, or I don't know, there's shuttles, the lab could do shuttles, that would help cut down on traffic. I mean, everybody's coming up from the same route on 502. You could do routes from 502 to like TA3 and the big TAs. Advocating that the lab does shuttles, I think would help a lot cutting down on traffic. But yeah, right now I don't think the road diet is a good idea. Just focus on having people bike and walk on Central.
Thank you.
I'll be the first to tell you that when they said road diet, I was like, what? Okay. So I'm learning about the road diet. I have to also say that because I've seen the transition of how many more cars we have here, I know we need to do something. I know that the current configuration is not working. But I also don't feel as if I have enough information to make an intelligent response. I'm still researching, but I am aware that that's an issue. I agree with you.
Mr. Ricard.
Well, I think there were a couple parts to the question, but the first one, I think, yeah, those footbrail things downtown seem to be all messed up. I bet you that visually impaired people ignore them, otherwise they would have been run over already, because I don't think they're aligned correctly. But in any case, as for the road diet, I think I already said the main point. We improved the rim trail, which we've never gotten around to finishing. We finished that. We make Central and Canyon the great place for bike riding. And then we made Trinity a place for cars and buses and trucks, and keep the traffic moving. Because we are adding so many cars now with all the downtown development. Just the big new one out by the hospital, that apartment complex. How are those people getting out? They probably need a center turn lane, but we need more and more lanes for traffic flow. And so I am very opposed to the road diet. And I think we have much better solutions already. And was there a third part to that question? Let's see. I got 30 seconds if there's a third part.
I think you covered most of it, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dawn Marie. This town is growing and we're having growing pains. When these roads were laid out, they never dreamed there would be thousands upon thousands of people coming in here, a couple of times a day. So I agree with Mr. Rieger, the new apartment complex is going to make this worse. The fabulous new daycare center on Trinity as well is just a nightmare trying to get in and out of there, and is only going to get worse. I'm not a roads expert either, but the road diet is supposed to be a calming measure, like Chair Durkis mentioned, and supposed to make it safer for all of us. Lionel is certainly trying to help wherever they can. I think we all are concerned about safety, so this is what they are trying, and we'll see how this goes. The funds for this did come from the New Mexico Department of Transportation, and I think we all need to just concentrate on trying to make it safer, whatever that means.
Thank you. Is there another question? Ms. Kayla? And then you may want to come up here a little bit, so you can be next. See, I'm gonna- You can take my seat.
When the council adopted the revised development code at the end of 2022, they noted that there were unresolved issues, such as open space parcels that have been wrongly rezoned. The league has met with council members and county staff numerous times.
I'm sorry, Barbara, could you just stand up and please? I don't think you all can hear, can you? I would suggest you maybe starting it. It's
When
hard to
the
hear.
council adopted the revised development code at the end of 2022, they noted that there were several unresolved issues, such as open space parcels that have been wrongly rezoned. The league has met with council members and county staff numerous times, and several of the councilors expressed support, but it's 2 years later, and nothing has happened to adjust the errors. What would you do about this matter?
Okay, Mr. Markey, you are first. I know that's a great position.
So I've seen these zoning suggestions and they pretty much make sense to me. I don't see the downsides. I really honestly have no idea what is the holdup here. I guess the best I could do is, be the squeaky wheel, and that's kind of what I've tried to do on Parks and Rec is sit there and, if there's an issue and it hasn't been resolved, then just persist on it and never give up. I see that a lot in this community. It seems like if the county doesn't want to do something, they'll slow roll it and just hope people lose interest. So I'm very aware of that being sort of a tactic, and I will definitely hold myself accountable to make sure these issues are resolved. I support the zoning changes though.
Done?
I think so.
I've familiarized myself with some of the action items over the last year. Since that one is 2 years, I have no clue. So therefore, I'd have to go back and research it. I'm sure if you've already had conversations, there must have been a reason, a good reason as to why there's been no movement. I can't imagine the League of Women Voters addressing county council without having done their homework. I mean, that's just what you guys do. So, yeah, I'd have to go back and research it and have a more informed, and provide you with a more informed answer.
I thought we rezoned, we fixed a lot of the miszoning of the open space, already. Which part are you talking about? Because I thought we fixed all of it in White Rock. What's that?
7 different parcels.
In Los Alamos or White Rock?
Both. It wasn't White Rock.
and it's miszoned, and it should be open.
Indian Park.
Unimproved open space versus improved is the miszoning you're referring to? Unimproved open space versus improved. Is that the miszoning you're talking about?
Indian Park is zoned downtown.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The north side of the golf course is divided by diamonds. On the north side, it's zoned open space instead of park. It's a real good letter. You want to
So you had to come to me personally. I would find out. I will take your word for it.
February 2024, we wrote a letter to council. But since then, we've learned about additional pieces.
All right. This is a teacher's voice here. They aren't sure. Can you just stop?
Well, let's just go on.
Bring it to me directly, and I will take care of it for you. Thank you.
Now, when you're getting the microphone, it's just not resonating as it should. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, who here was a teacher? All right, got it. But I can go closer, for sure. And it's bigger, and you.
So I really don't know about this topic either, but I would certainly support the zoning changes.
Denise, it's yours.
So, county residents strongly value our open spaces as documented in the 2016 comprehensive plan. The county has some 60 miles of trails and some 4,000 acres of designated open space. And the development code and official zoning map that were revised in December of 2022 established 4 open space designations: public parks, recreational open space, active open space, and passive open space. So my understanding was that we made the changes to the zoning maps at that time, and I did follow up with council, the county manager, on the letter from the league. And my understanding that some, but not all of those changes have been made. However, no, okay, I will follow up with that. But we do know that we are expecting to have changes brought back to us for consideration on the development code by the end of the year. So we can ask for those changes to be brought back to us at that time. Thank you for that question.
You're tough. I'm the young man, I think, in the back. Can you just, come on forward because it's difficult.
I've noticed that there have been a lot more car accidents involving fatalities. Why is that, and how can we slow down the risk of traffic?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I've noticed that there have been more accidents with fatalities. Why is that, and how can we stop aggressive driving?
You all hear that? Okay. This is Bill Clinton, yours.
That's a really great question. I agree with you. I have noticed we have a lot more people here in this town. One of the things I love about this town is the small town atmosphere, where the people you see on the highway are the same people you see at Smith's. Having said that, we have a lot of new people here. I would like to know, regarding the fatalities especially, how many of those people have been here for a year or less? We tend to be more courteous in our town. We tend to be more aware of our neighbors. So I think some of it is education. Again, I need to know more about the road diet. I need to see how that could possibly help. But I think that we just have to be aware that we're growing, and as my colleague said, we're having growing pains. And unfortunately, we're experiencing that in a way that is leaving all of us a bit more apprehensive.
Baker?
Yeah, thank you. So the lab is growing so much, and they're not really building things and infrastructure that are proportional to the amount of pressure they're putting on us. So that we need actually two kinds of things: more land for housing, not just the downtown housing, but we need more other pieces of land so we can put in, thousands of homes, thousands of them. And the most important thing I think we need is more transportation to join us up to Albuquerque. So I'm going to say my usual thing, which is we need a highway straight south from Los Alamos County to Albuquerque, just going right down the river. If you don't have a highway, and I think many of my Democratic colleagues might object to that, but they would probably approve of a rail line. But anything that got relieved our traffic congestion with another route so that we could spread our people out and get rid of this thing where people are coming from Rio Rancho and pushing it really hard to get to work. Thank you.
Ms. Herman?
I agree with Mr. Rieger about a lot of that. It's, as we mentioned before, these roads were not designed to handle this number of people. I think the lab is working on a number of things to help with this situation, but it's just a really difficult thing. I'm not sure about the highway down to Albuquerque from here, but I think there are a lot of things that can be done, and we're certainly working on those. These tragedies, every time it happens, it just drives it home that this is not working, whatever we're doing right now. And we really just kind of, I think, need to focus on this. These safety traffic calming measures, we can't even agree on what we're doing on Trinity, let alone the rest of it. So it's a difficult situation. I appreciate your question and your concern. Thank you very much.
Chair Jervis?
Thank you for the question. So, yes, sadly, traffic accidents have increased, as well as fatalities. And we on council have tasked the police department and our public works department to bring back options and recommendations to council before November, so probably sometime later this month, so that we can consider measures that we can adopt to improve public safety. As others have mentioned, we do have some 8,000 commuters traveling into and out of Los Alamos every day. Lanel has established park and ride locations in Pojoaque and in San Felipe to encourage its employees to ride the bus. We're also promoting bus transportation, but we're having a hard time hiring and keeping bus drivers. So we are very aware of this issue, very concerned about it, and we're going to take actions that within our range of authority as soon as we can. So thank you again for that question.
And last, Mr. Warnicki?
All right, so I mentioned that I came here to do a cybersecurity job. Since then, I transitioned more into a data scientist, and I love going through data, analyzing data. When people go home at night to Netflix and chill or whatever, I go home and I look at mounds of county data and try to figure out trends. I actually enjoy it. So anyways, with the increase in fatalities, finally people are starting to look at traffic data. I recently was helping somebody who's doing a story on traffic safety look at some data, and the biggest thing was distracted driving. So distracted driving and speeding, and the combination of those two is probably what's causing all these accidents. It would be nice if the police department had a little more communication on this, and I'm totally down to help them. I help a lot of county staff do data analysis. It's what I love to do. But yeah, distracted driving, that's the biggest cause. And combine that with traffic density, speeding, looking to get people off their phones. Are you going to enforce it? Are you going to get like cops every 100 feet watching for people looking at their phones? I don't think so. There might be motivations. There's apps out there that will reward you for not picking up your phone. If we can encourage those like we do with health apps, that might be a carrot to help people change their behavior. It's a challenging problem. Again, I'm going to talk about commuting, shuttles. If we can put pressure on Lanol to get shuttles, show that it's a safety issue for their employees, I think that would be a great step forward.
So, my watch, everyone spoke, my watch, which I bought at one of your new places, says that it's 8:30, so I hope that's really close. And I think that we can do one, because we said we would stay until 9, am I correct on that? So I think we could do one more question, because then each of them will be giving a 1-minute summary. Is that right? Right, so it's 8:30. So I think we have time for one question. Okay, guys, look at the timing, because we're going to be close on this. Is there another question?
There is.
Oh, there she is.
And I hope you can hear me. I'll try to put my teacher voice on. Okay. Will you support the community broadband network project? There was a request for proposals put out last year, but we haven't seen any public updates since then. How can you keep us better informed, and what can the county do to get the project moving? Thanks.
Mr. Reader, you try that one first. Yes, you do.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I would like also to know what's going on with the community broadband project. I haven't seen a briefing for quite a while, and I'm hoping it's a great thing where there's a contract that's supposed to be put together. We should see it very soon. But I'm a big advocate for community broadband and fiber optic to the houses. But it has to be set up the right way, and we haven't seen the contract yet. And it was supposed to be any day now, but it's not in the current agenda, but it should be coming out very soon. And I will just say I will support it. And I think broadband is very important to our, there's a key thing that happens in a town like this, is you have a lot of two-body problems, where one person has a job at the lab, and the other person has to work remotely, but they're a professional, and then good internet is a key thing, so they can work remotely. And that adds a lot to the laboratory, even if they don't help us do it. It adds a lot to their ability to bring people here. So, thank you.
Okay, the next person who's going to answer that without all that knowledge is you.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky, for that question. I think all of us want to support this, and it's, like Mr. Rieger said, it's very important to the community, and I think we all look forward to having better broadband here.
Ms. Durkis, you are next.
Thank you for the question. So the fundamental need for community access to broadband became a reality during COVID. And establishing access to community broadband involves installing fiber optic cable throughout the county and providing tiered levels of service in the community. This is a $35 million undertaking that likely will be funded by issuing GRT revenue bonds. Yes, I do plan to support this. The contracts are on the agenda for later this month or early November, as soon as they're ready. And there's 2 contracts, as I said, one for construction and one for implementation. So thank you.
Okay, Mr. Warnicki.
All right, so we have a $35 million budget for broadband. I'm not sure how they're going to do better than just giving everybody free Starlink that isn't happy with the service they have right now. I'm personally happy with my mediocre 30 megs service at home. My kids aren't, they want to play their video games, but that's okay. I think places like the Teen Center provide a place for them to play their video games. it would be, competing against the local business. So, I don't like that. It's creating a monopoly on our internet. I think once you start having monopolies, it's really hard to hold them accountable. I think, like I said, you could do Starlink with that money and not have to go through all this planning. I just don't see how they're going to do better than that. And really, we have a local ISP, and then we have the Soul Second, Great Satan ISPs that big ISP. I am concerned about it killing local business.
Okay, that was pretty quick, actually. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
You go, babe.
Yes, sure. So, our tagline is where discoveries are made. It's kind of hard to make discoveries if you can't access them. So, do I support it? Absolutely. And just like my other colleague, as he loves to go home and review data points, many of us who live here, we work here, and then we go home and we still work, and we're still playing, and so we need to have access to that, so absolutely.
Well, what I was saying was, that was pretty quick, and it's about 25 minutes. If someone has one more question, we can try that, because we're going to save, if we can do that. I think if you ask a question that these all people can answer. So is there a question? Someone has? Aha, there was one. Last one.
Thanks, Caroline. I'm normally very loud, so you can hear me. This is like a hypothetical or that's not a very word question, but it's important to me that my county councilors are able to take on new information, feedback to research, and change their mind about things. So do you have an example of a policy that you had one opinion on, that you took in more information on, and changed your mind about? I'd love to hear about that.
Did everyone hear that question and understand? Did you understand it?
Am I first?
Yes. No, actually, Ren is.
I didn't hear the question.
I think I got the question. I got the question. Basically, give an example of changing your mind after learning more. I think, I don't have a great example of that, but I think that's what this job is about. I think I would be going into this without having the experience of being a county councilor for the last 4 years, and sitting up here tonight, that doesn't feel like such a horrible thing, but I think I have a lot to learn, and I think I have to go into this with a very open mind, and for me, it's going to be a lot of learning, and I think there will be plenty of occasions where in that learning process you just have to change your mind about things once you learn about it. I don't see that as a bad thing. I think that's what we should all be doing, learning what is needed, and then make your decisions.
Actually, we're in order this time. Ms. Durkis, you are next.
So, I spend a lot of time reading, researching, and preparing for council meetings. My husband's sitting over there, can vouch for that. So, an example of when I changed my mind had to do with the purchase of bear-resistant roll cards. Despite the research that I had done and talking to county staff about the options, I went into the meeting thinking I was going to vote one way, but after hearing the discussion during the council session and comments from the public, I changed my vote. So I take the informed decision-making very seriously. That is, I consider that one of the the number one responsibilities of council, to do your homework, understand the issues, consider all the options, listen to different members of the community, and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Mr. Warnicki.
Let's see. It's hard to think of a time that my mind was just completely changed, but I do like to think that I'm always open to new ideas, and just helping that sort of guide my path down something. I think a lot of times the county does something and I'll have a knee-jerk response that like, they're being jerks. They don't care, and then I'll talk to the staff and they'll give a solid answer. So I guess really how to answer that is I try not to be quick to assume why they're doing things, and always trying to figure out what it is they're trying to accomplish, and if I get better understanding and it still doesn't feel like it aligns with what I feel is right, trying to find some middle ground there, some way that it can work for both of us. Like the road diet, for example, I feel strongly opposed to it, but talking to Juan Morale, our streets director, he gives some good arguments for it, and I think that's what makes a good decision maker, is somebody that understands the counterpoints to their decision, and that can build strength on whatever your position is on.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Neal Clinton. I'm sorry.
No. So, I'm always open for change. Anyone who knows me understands this about me. I can agree to disagree with you. I can come into a situation thinking I have the answers because I've done my research. And when you look at diversity and inclusion, there's going to be someone else who has a point of view that I may not have even considered or even thought was a viable option. So, am I open for change? Yes. I'm open for change if it's the best possible solution. Because what ends up happening is sometimes we don't have all the variables in order to make an educated response. But if I can look at what the variables are and then see how that best provides the best solution, and that's going to be my answer. But I'm not going to just say, I'm sticking to it, my way's the right way, you guys will take the highway. That's crazy. So that's my take. I'm open to change, especially if I have done my own research and then I've had other discussions and you make valid points.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've really changed my mind about sort of one aspect of the green energy world, and that's supporting solar panels and that side of it, because we have tons of sunlight and we always need more electricity. And the parts of the carbon agenda that I don't like are the ones where you turn off things that you don't have a replacement for it. I think we just keep adding electricity to our system. We're always going to use it. And so it's a great benefit to us. A few years ago, I didn't believe in any of that. So I was thinking this is a very useful thing. And I'm happy to support it now. And you can read all my articles in the paper. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you that it is about 1:15, and I'm thinking that unless someone has I have to ask this question. Of course I have some. Of course. Andrea, go for it. We're going to do this pretty quickly.
Thanks. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. As an educator, I teach some of these students, some of them have graduated already. I believe in truth, so I need a yes or a no. We're getting ready to vote tomorrow, and I need to know from each one of you, in a yes or no, do you believe that Donald Trump lost the election to Joe Biden fairly? Yes or no? So that we can move on with our election.
Okay, so Denise, you're first.
Okay, so the short answer is yes, I do believe Trump lost the election.
Mr. Warnicki.
All right, short answer is yes, we lost the election, but I think our electoral system has a lot of room for improvement. I'll give a good example, right? Our Libertarian candidate for representative got knocked off the ballot because of a typo and that we weren't informed about until after the fact when it was too late. So it's really frustrating that democracy lives and dies on a typo. Also, it's basically a bipartisan system, right? We, third parties, there's no diversity of choice. Other nations have diversity of choice. They do things like ranked choice voting, proportional representation. There's lots of things we could do there. I would like to see some reform. I would like to see New Mexico, be a change maker in that sense. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement in our electoral system, but yeah, whatever, Trump lost.
Okay, Ms. Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Mr. Edgar.
No. No. You just look at the math, and none of it makes any sense. And if you're not familiar with statistics of elections, then you would not be able to recognize that when you would get all the bellwethers, it means you won, which is what Trump had. So statistically, he couldn't have lost. But mathematically impossible, like 1 in a billion. That's what it means.
Yes. Okay. I think we did it. Okay. Thank you. And thank you for being kind to be the substitute here. You know, it's not easy. Ms. Zorth does a much better job. So what we are doing, we already have the order for the closing statements. It's the opposite way that they were on the ballot. So the opposite from the first thing that we did. So I will tell you, do you want me to tell you? I'll let you tell you the order, so you can just be ready. Okay, so we have Warnicki, Durkis, Herman, Rager, and Neil Clinton. Okay? So first, I will still call your name so you didn't have to memorize that. It's not on the test. Okay, Mr. Warnicki, it's yours for 1 minute.
Okay, so my thing is doing things, not just sitting around planning and talking about things. Like I said, 2017 sort of changed my mindset on the community. I got super active in community service. I do a lot of trail work. I teach STEM education. I do this after-school program. Coach youth rugby. I do all these things as a volunteer. I'm wearing my shirt tonight, right? It says good things don't require force. I think volunteerism is where it's at, and be dedicated to the community. I don't support forcing people to do things they don't want to do, but I will give it everything to support people that need support, because I've been in that hopeless point where I needed my community to help me, and I'll dedicate myself to you guys. Every one of you for showing up tonight is awesome in my book, and I want to do what I can do to make this place better for you.
Okay. Chair Durkis.
Los Alamos County has been my home for 42 years. Together with my husband, I chose to live here, to raise our 3 sons here, and to stay here in retirement. I hope to continue to help the county plan for growth and embrace the future while preserving the past and the amenities that make the county a great place to live. 3 key issues face the county: expanded housing development, proactive downtown revitalization, and enhanced community services. I welcome input from county residents on how we can best address these and other issues. My name is Denise Durkis. I look forward to continuing to serve on the county council and to representing you, the people of Los Alamos County. I humbly ask for your vote in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Sermon.
I love this community. I've considered running for county council 3 times before this, but the timing was just never right, and it is now. I bring my experience representing the business community and working with the people of Los Alamos. We need to focus on redeveloping our downtowns and make sure our small business workers and public servants can afford to live here. We need to focus on sustainability and make sure that the quality of life in Los Alamos continues to be great. visit rinforcouncil.com for more information and to view my schedule of when you can join me for coffee with a candidate. I'm here to listen and then represent you in making educated decisions to keep Los Alamos a strong community and a great place to live. Make sure your voice is counted. Please vote early, starting tomorrow or on November 5th, preferably for me, and let's work together in a positive way to help Los Alamos thrive.
Mr. Rieger.
The most difficult thing about being in public office is captured by the bureaucracy. So what happens is you depended on the people that you work with in the county government for information, and so you become dependent on them, so much so that some of the people, and I think the way the council generally works, is they just turn into kind of rubber stamps for policies that they've already been briefed on in great detail. And I think the main thing is always, you have to represent the public interest, and many times that is going up against the same people that you're working with every day to learn how things work. But you have to be able to say no, and we've had a problem with that, and that's what I do on the council, and I'm very proud of it. Thank you.
Last but not least, Ms. Neal Clinton.
Again, my name is Beverly Neal Clinton, and I'm certainly asking for your vote starting tomorrow, October 8th. The 4 pillars of my campaign are against small businesses, affordable housing, inclusivity, and mental health. I bring a ton of real-world experience. I am keenly aware of how important environmental stewardship is. I am committed to inclusivity, and I am involved in this community. So I would ask that if you have any additional questions, I have information in the back. You can go to my campaign at Neal Clinton Campaign. All of the information is there. And again, thank you all for coming, and thank you